So they're like, wait a minute, you went all the way over there. I could have just gotten it down the street, you know.
Have I understood you, gentlemen, correctly? Like, none of you think actually that the U.S. has much of a hand in orchestrating the coup or anything like that.
Oh no, that's
we're not
what we're saying.
We're not saying that.
That's not what we're saying.
But because I'm thinking,
when it comes to Coup, is United States. Don't your fingers go straight to the United States.
Okay.
Even if the Coup is in the United States, is the United States.
What I was saying was,
hear me out on this one, because I think this is worth in context, especially for people who may not watch our earlier discussions and stuff. So, because if I'm not mistaken, anyone here correct me if I'm wrong, but both Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have all been couped at least once, including Guinea also. I think we should maybe give an honorable mention to Guinea, even though they're not a part of the alliance of Sahelian states. They are still like friends. Pretty much like they're very close friends, unofficial ones, and they have much in common because they are part of the coup party after all, where they've been couped twice, if I'm not, at least like coup on a coup, right? And so the same is for Niger, the same is for Mali, the same is for Burkina Faso. Now, of course, all those prior coups could indeed have been the U.S. making a coup and indeed trying, as Wyatt, because I'm just going to call it Wyatt here, he made this explicit suspicion that it was maybe the U.S. pushing out France, which the U.S. may have tried. But from what I understand, from what you guys have said so far, is that maybe that was the case for those prior coups, but these last coups, they're different.
So, in Guinea, I believe that the coup is supported by Western countries, because even when I was listening to the Doumbouya speech at the UN, because I was in the room, he's like, oh no, we're not against any Western countries, we're not against any of this, we're just pro-Africans. But because whenever a leader tries to say that, they know there's something that they're definitely working with the Western countries. Because Alpha Condé, the guy that they overthrew, he was more fine with Chinese and Russians. He was not fine with Western countries. Before he was a leader, he was fine with France, because he was fully supported by France. And when he was jailed.
Oh yeah, folks. Alpha has his kids in the background making sounds, so he had to abrupt. But so, because what basically he's saying that they may have been friendly with the West, and so they might have gotten an advantage to, or like whatever, they might have been propped sufficiently to coup successfully. But then, there were still actually individuals with their own motives, and maybe it wasn't entirely selfish, maybe it was nationalistic, but at some point they veered, or. In the case of Burkina Faso, I get the impression it's not that they veered. It was that they were so ineffective, because Ibrahim Traore, he's a low-rank military officer who was quite involved in combat with all these jihadis and whatnot. And he at some point decided that no, they're simply not addressing this properly, and we're gonna. Well,
I think there's some factors here to consider. So one, just because a coup happened, it doesn't mean it was planned in the West, right? So that's important to know. The question is how the West reacts to the coup. And I think when Victoria Nuland flew to Niger, they were put at ease. They were told, hey, this is not against you or whatever. And that may have been good enough for the US. So there are coups that the US has actually perpetrated, but these coups, I don't think the US just chooses not to directly go against them, right? But I don't think they have a hand in planning it. And on the other hand is also the importance of the individual country we're talking about. So if there's a coup in Algeria, the US would directly be involved, because that's a huge consequential country with a huge military and a huge influence in the area. But if it's a coup in Chad, or a coup in Gabon, which has 2 million people, they're like, what happened there? We don't care,
Well, I think there's another.
The queue in Gabon. As soon the president came out, like asking for his friend, I was like, what the fuck? You are a French speaker. Why are you speaking in English?
Because that was so pathetic.
No, he knew France was involved in the queue. He wants help from the United States. France was involved in that.
I don't think France. I haven't seen any evidence to show that France was involved in that.
That would be funny.
He was asking for United States help. Otherwise, that video would be in French.
No,
or even local language.
I think the reason why he was speaking in English is because, so everybody, when you talk to the West, you speak to the West in English. Even if you're talking to, even if you're trying to get the attention of the Germans, you speak in English because a lot of the German government speaks in English. So I think he was talking about to the West. He was talking for protest and all kinds of whatever. But
if he wanted help from his people, that would be in French. How many people in Gabon speak English?
First of all, there's no way the people of Gabon are not going to stop what they're doing to come help.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying. If he wants that help from France or people in Gabon, he would speak in French because France is like the big dad for that guy. But
I actually agree with Makiadi.
Somehow that guy was getting closer to United States more than France in the last 2 or 3 years.
The U.S. has any interest in Gabon like that, really.
Oh, come on. Makiadi, Gabon is rich in gold. Gabon is rich in uranium. Explode the oil in Gabon, United States.
Let me point out something where it kind of doesn't matter if the Americans or the French or whatever was involved, because my impression of this coup in Gabon is that it was almost 100% internal. They just decided that, no, we want to actually a palace coup, basically. And so since they weren't changing anything, absolutely nothing got changed at all as far as I could tell. No grand announcement, no nothing. Of course, they were cheering on the streets, but, that's pretty much all.
It's like me having a problem with my brother about a piece of land, and my brother finally gets it.
Yeah, and so it's like, and this doesn't change anything for those, and this doesn't change for any of the others on the far away who are still just going to come to your land and trade exactly the same thing. It's just a different person they're talking to. So so comparing that then to, for example, the Sahel, and because here, at least. I get the impression that Mali and Niger are kind of trying to do something. They're making some road and infrastructure, but this could also be for, but the more expressive statement of fundamental changes where it's actually articulated and in detail and in length have come from Ibrahim Traore mostly. And I would suspect that a coups on him are both palace motivated for this reason that when he starts making reforms like that, those that have benefited on the pre-existing system are going to have an issue. And of course, that will also invite an external coup. So of the 3 countries here that are going to, I think Ibrahim Traore is going to keep getting attempted coups at him. And it's going to, it's been like two supposed coups in the week. And while most of them, they're likely to both be palace coups. One of them have suspicions of being externally supported, which, again, this doesn't mean necessarily a conspiratorial intent. This is more of an opportunism given the situation. What do you guys think?
I think it's all about
just ask something what you have to say. So if you remember, right, when the Gabon Umar Bongo, right, I believe. So when he called for people to support him to go outside and make a noise. But look versus that to the Burkina leader. When people say go make go stand for the Burkina leader. Look how many people showed up, because that's what I always told like the government. If you want to stay in power, get your people supporting you. You see the differences. There were so many people outside at the time. Look, that was midnight, and people still get out and go protest and protect him. You see how the difference that is? And the other one, people coming out cheering that he was overthrown. So that's what I tell the leaders. Trying to get your people supporting you, trying to do the basic stuff for your people. You know, people like in Africa, people don't ask for too much as in Western countries. They only need better, like, you know, able to have enough food to feed their family for the next day, and something like that, and have a job or have a way source of making money. You understand? And having like good roads, education, you know, running water. These are the things that many of these African people are looking for, and place to live, place to stay, you know, to live in their house or something like that, you know. But if you compare that to Western countries, completely different that people are asking for. It's just basic stuff that people need.
If there was a coup in Angola in the 19th, the people would back the president, would go on the street straight away. But if that was in 2000, everyone was like, "Wow, about fucking time." Yeah.
Well, so that's because I want to ask you guys something pertaining to this. We have actually talked a little bit about it, and this was actually what we were supposed to be discussing. So let's touch it a little bit. What you said there, Vash, is pertinent to what we have discussed before, and this is pertinent now when it comes to these Sahelian nations, because they are not old regimes that have been there for a long while. They're quite fresh. And if you take Burkina Faso as an example, let's say Mali and Niger were to, you know, maybe it is actually more going on there than I know. It's maybe Ibrahim Traore is better at the messaging part, and that's why it gets the impression. And for the sake of argument, let's say it's actually true that they are actually, for once, it's not just lip service and charade and theatrics. They're actually dedicating resources and reallocating and restructuring the socio-economic makeup so that you know, things are improving. Well, then what would be the obstacles? Like I think we're still on the security and stability phase of this whole. You know, if let's say, first, you know, we have to start somewhere. These three countries, they have agreed to make a military alliance. This is already official and not really up for dispute. But so it's not inconceivable that they would actually want to make the move to federate or confederate. And I think confederate is likely to be the easiest political move. We can discuss that one. But the main thing here seems to first and foremost be the security aspect. But also, I kind of imagine they need to kind of make the move itself concomitant with something else. Like they might have to maybe revamp maybe they don't only have the Sahel military alliance, but maybe they have and they juxtapose ECOWAS and set up another trade institution, a trade bloc, for example. And then when they do that in the same process, to say, by the way, we are now a confederacy. And so we have tied up our military, and we have certain obligations to each other, and which would also because that is when they would be immunized coup-wise in many ways.
There's something very important too. So when it comes to governance of any country, I tell people all the time, you have to focus on who the elite is, right? So in every country, you have who the elite is. In most cases, in most capitalist nations, it's going to be the rich businessman. In the United States, the rich businessman. In Russia, it's the former intelligence people. In China, it's the old guard of the Communist Party. So in each of these countries, the question is who the elite is. So when there is a coup, the question is, who are the elites and what are they doing now, right? Those guys, if you have popular support like Traore has, the only people who would be interested in removing you, if the military is interested in removing you, they would have to have backing, either international backing or most likely the old elite or the elite that still remains. So the question is, if you want to secure yourself, first of all, the elite has to be terrified of you. That is in almost any country. If you want your country to have life, to have a long life, the elites have to be terrified of the state. So if those guys who are trying the coups and everything in Burkina Faso, more than likely there are some interests, maybe local, that want to do something, because you may look at a leader. So we have all been lied to, and you've been told there's such a thing as an absolute leader. There's no such a thing as an absolute leader. Even Genghis Khan himself had a court had to make laws and rules to govern his own elite. So he's not 100%. So the question is, are the elites happy as much as the people are happy? Right. Secondly, and lastly, these countries are different. They may be trying to get together, but these countries are different in many ways. One, motivation-wise, and the makeup of the government. For example, people in Burkina Faso are ideologically trained. People in the rest of the countries don't seem to be ideologically trained. What do I mean ideologically trained? Burkina Faso has a history of Marxism and basically a revolutionary kind of movement. I've listened to some of the songs they make. You see them leaning towards the revolutionary side of it, and they're very conscious when it comes to social justice and things like that. So that country will be very different from Niger, which doesn't have the same background, and the coup had a different motivation.
I think all African countries, their music is like that. Like now you said that, I'm asking myself, wow, that's true. Because I know some of the music in Angola and Congo Kinshasa, they are all the same, from the 1819s music. It's about colonialism. It's about these people in the West, how they go to Africa.
But you see the difference I'm pointing between the other countries like Guinea, Mali, and Nigeria, as opposed to as opposed to Burkina Faso. Like if you watch like the cadets love wearing that red cap, which is the maroon cap, which is what Sankara used to wear. So you can see they already have like a revolutionary tradition going on and a unifying leader, right? I don't know much about where you're from, Alpha, and whether that's there, but I don't think you guys have a Marxist or socialist background in your country like that.
They're actually one of the first countries in that area to be independent.
That's true. So basically, what I would say is that, like,